Hello everyone, this is Shama with Girls and Geese. We're back for yet another edition of our Ask a Black Belt segment. Today we have a phenomenal instructor. She's also one of our Girls and Geese ambassadors. She's been running a program within her school at Jay Pages BJJ. She's an owner instructor, and we are super excited to have her on to share a little bit of her wisdom with us today. If you guys haven't tuned in for these segments before, this is how it works. You ask the questions, and she will answer them. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. So I'm super excited to have you on today. You're someone who I've known for quite some time now. I feel honored to be a part of your journey. You've had many ups and downs throughout it, so I think you have a very interesting perspective that a lot of people can learn from today.
Yes,
So
thank you.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh, where to start? Um, I'm 44 years old, so I'm not a baby, and I have a 23-year-old daughter, and I run an air conditioning company with my dad, so that's what I do full time. And then I also teach a women's class at the gym that I also run with my husband. But of course, he's the one that runs it most of the time um, because I work full time also. So that's another thing about me is I love jujitsu and I like to do it all the time. But I'm one of the rare ones that doesn't do it as a full time job, being a black belt. So people always ask me that all the time. They're like, "You mean you have a job? You don't do this all the time?" But no, I go to work.
So how do you balance that? Because you're helping your husband run the academy, you're teaching, you're running a business with your dad. How are you able to do it all?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm tired a lot. I just do it. It's like one of those things that people always have asked me, like, how do you do this, and how do you be a mom and do jujitsu, and how do you do all this? And it's just you just do it because you love doing it. And I get up early in the morning. I walk my dog. I go to work, and then after work, I go straight to the gym, and I train, and I get home late. And it can be tiring, but you do it because you love it. Otherwise, there's no way I'd do it if I didn't love it.
No, I hear you. And you're commuting too. I understand your dad's
Yes,
business is not that close to where you live, if I recall correctly.
that's correct. I have a 45-minute drive each way to work. So yeah,
Wow.
so yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm thankful that right now, because of all the COVID stuff, my daughter's been home. And so the dog is with her all day, so I don't feel bad. So that's been a blessing having her here. I always love having her here. Most parents are like, oh, I can't wait till my child is out of the house. But for me, I'm like, don't ever leave.
And she's going a far ways too when she's leaving.
She is.
So
She is all the time. She is. I took her traveling when she was younger, and I never thought that when she got older that she would enjoy it so much that she would go too. But traveling abroad in Paris, or studying abroad in Paris, and then living in Ireland, and yeah, it's hard for a mom with only one child to deal with that. But you deal with it because your child is happy and you love seeing them happy. So.
absolutely. So we have a few questions. They're asking what advice do you have for getting started with the women's program? How did you get started? How do you keep it going?
So that's tough. So I started it as a purple belt, and of course you have like one or two women that show up. Some days nobody shows up, and you start wondering, is this a good idea? Should I just stop doing the program? Is this worth my time? And then I just kept doing it. So I I had Jay advertise it. I had him put it on the schedule, and I just showed up and taught whether I had one person or 10 people or 15 people. I just kept doing it. And the thing is to not give up on it, because if you give up on it, then it's definitely not going to happen. So you keep doing it. And still to this day, my classes remain small, but I have so much great feedback from the people that come that I would never stop it, because I can't take that away from them. It's a great intro to jiu-jitsu for women who feel intimidated, for women who don't want to roll with men, um, lots of different things. Young women. It's just a great class to start at and to feel comfortable in. So I can't. I don't feel like comfortable with ever taking it away at this point. So yeah, you just
Yeah.
got to keep doing it. One person or 20 people is it to me. It's worth it.
No, absolutely. I'm a product of a women's class, so I stand completely by women's classes are super important.
I've had
Uh,
I drive like 30 minutes just to come to your class because I didn't find another gym that had a women's program, and that's what I wanted.
yeah,
So just for that alone, makes it worth it.
no, absolutely. So, being on the go, running from work to the gym, what do you recommend for eating before the gym, like eating before training? I know that's a hard one, right? And then timing it, right?
So, I mean, for me, this is kind of funny because I try and get this advice. Like my husband eats phenomenal, and I've never been strict on my diet. And unless I'm competing, I eat terribly. And like I've said before, like I could probably relate with a lot of people because I'm not one of those strict people that eat healthy and I exercise like regularly every day, and I'm just like this strong, like it's amazing. I just don't have that discipline, and so I wish I did, but I don't. So I mean, sometimes I honestly sometimes I skip breakfast. I'm not much of a breakfast person. If I do eat breakfast, it's a very small meal, and then I eat a decent or normal lunch, and then I train. I go and train at. I usually get there 5 or 6, depending. And so I don't have any snacks before or anything like that. I can't eat right before class. So I'm usually pretty hungry when I get home. And then I eat late at night. So that's pretty much after I get home from the gym, then that's when I eat dinner. So we do have late dinners, unfortunately. Everyone says, "Oh, it's so bad to eat late," but it's either that or I don't eat at all. So yeah, so that's all it is. It's regular lunch. I go train, and then I eat a late dinner. So I don't have too many snacks. I'm just usually too busy for snacks. Could I change up my diet and eat better? Yeah, I should.
So I know you've had a lot of ups and downs in your jiu-jitsu journey. What has been one of the hardest parts, or the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
I've had lots of challenges. One of them just, I mean, it's really combined. It's like I'm older, I'm small, and I'm a woman. I have three huge things going against me in this sport, and so those all three combined has made my journey get beat up at the gym constantly. I've been injured more times than I can even count. I think I've injured every ligament in my body, and and those alone, with mentally being beat up on a regular basis, is very difficult to deal with. And I've wanted to quit more times than I can remember, because I think to myself, why am I doing this to myself? What is going on with me? Um, why can't I question myself? So I'm like, why can't I go out there and beat up people? Why is it always me getting beat up? Like, I've been doing this long enough, so it's definitely that way where I felt like I should know enough to where I don't get beat up. But I got to remember, that I am older, I am smaller, I am a female. I can't, I once had talked to Mackenzie Dern, and her father told her, don't ever compare yourself. You cannot roll, no matter what belt they are. You could be a black belt and they could be a blue belt. They could tear right through you, but there's a lot of factors, that go into that, what their background is and what they know and everything. And so she said that her father told her, don't ever compare yourself that way. If you really feel like you need to if you really feel like you need to, this is key. If you really feel like you need to test yourself and see how your jiu-jitsu is doing, then you should do a tournament against people your own age, weight, and belt. And
Yeah.
that's the only way that you should test yourself. But it's hard. It's hard to be in the gym,
Oh yeah.
buddy, and not feel upset or sad or mad at yourself when you're not doing as good as you feel like you should be.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
That's
I agree.
a tough one. A tough part of my journey is I sometimes wish, like, what if I was stronger or bigger or younger? Or, I sometimes I feel like, well, my husband's so good, beat up anybody he wants. It's not, but he, he does a job people think I could, like, and then I start comparing myself to his success. So I just had to learn to stop comparing myself and start just not caring. I'm Lisa. I am who I am. I can only do so much, and so that's kind of been my journey. Just keep showing up. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're a black belt," and I'm like, "Look, this is what I tell people. I'm a normal person. I'm a black belt because I just kept coming to class. Doesn't mean I'm amazing and I can beat up everybody who's under me. It just means I kept showing up. So you can do the same thing."
No, I think that's an awesome message to put out there for sure. When teaching women's classes, is there a specific technique that you like to teach? That was one of the questions that we had. Or
Yes.
do you...
They're actually, it might know this, but there's not any specific move. Like, everybody, jiu-jitsu, you make your own. And I always preach that to them. You got to make jiu-jitsu your own. I might do something, but it might not work for you. Your mobility is different than my mobility, and your strength is different than my strength. And so things are going to be different. But the one thing that I always teach them is pressure. I'm like, you have to learn your pressure. You have to feel it. You have to know it. You have to learn it, and you have to apply it to these big dudes and hurt.
Yes.
Biggest thing that I always teach in every single move that I will teach them, I will end it with some type of shoulder pressure or something like that. And then I was at a camp recently with Broiler Gracie, and he taught me the way he does knee on belly, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to try this one now because it's different. That I'm gonna have to try out now. But yeah, definitely shoulder pressures. I've applied shoulder pressure to some guys, and they're like, "What is this you're doing to me? I've never felt like this before, and you're so tiny." It's like, it's the only thing I have on you. You know, it's nobody else does this. How come these guys don't do it? They're so much bigger. How come I don't feel the same pressure? Because they don't need it like I need it. So
Yeah.
I perfect it and use it.
So you've gotten to train with a lot of people. You travel around. I see you doing the Globetrotter camps, and
Pilgrim.
yes. And so, what is like? Who would you say is one of your top top 5 people that you've gotten to train with
Gosh, okay.
and learn from?
Oh my gosh, there's so many people. I have actually been so blessed at the people that I've been able to train. It's been like, sometimes I'm in shock with all the people that I've been able to train with. And I mean, it goes from, I don't even know if I can say I have much of a favorite, but I mean, I've trained Nene and Gracie, Craig Jones, and we have a seminar coming up with Nikki Rod, and One of my most favorite camps, though, is Leticia Hibero. I freaking am amazed by her. She's just awesome. She's such a phenomenal teacher, and I love training with her. And all of her women on her team are also nice and tough. And I told my husband, I said, if I ever meet you, I'm going to Letitia's gym.
Hopefully not, but
No plan on leaving him. No rumors. One of my great moments was, I used to always see my husband once he turned black belt. He's been black belt for quite a while now. I actually started um, when he got his black belts when I started, so I was able to see a lot of his tournaments, and he would always train with so many big names or compete against so many big names, and I was like, ooh, one day, maybe one of these people I look up to, I'll be able to compete against. And I was shocked. And I don't know if there's any kids on here, so I don't want to curse, but I was so shocked when I saw Leca Vieira in my division. And then not only was she in my division, but she was my first match. And could not believe that I was going to compete with Leca Vieira. What like, it's just crazy to me. And to be able to have people you've looked up to your whole journey and to be able to connect with them, talk to them, train with them, compete with them is unreal to me. Gives me chills because you can't do that in a lot of sports.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. There's no way that people get to do that in like basketball or football or volleyball or any of that unless you're at that level, Like,
Yeah, yes. But I've got to train and compete with so many amazing women, even not big names. Like the amount of people and amazing people that I've met through camps and training and competitions, it, I'm just amazed. I'm amazed at the people I've met, and a lot of people too will be like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to compete," and I'm like, honestly, I don't win when I compete. I love competing. I just love going out there and I love doing it. But I am not the most well, I don't know. I'm just not disciplined enough to where I train hard enough to win. I guess is what I should say. And but I have fun doing it, and to me that's what matters.
oh
And
yeah.
and so when people are like, "Oh, I don't want to compete because I'm afraid of losing or I'm afraid of how I feel before and after," I said, "You just need to stop caring." I said, "If you really don't care if you're going to be a world champion, go out there and have fun." And then the one major reason why, because I have met so many amazing people that I'm now friends with that I competed.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah, for sure.
yeah, and to me, that's one of my most favorite parts about jiu-jitsu is the people I've competed against that I'm now friends with. I love it. And so I will, even though I'm 44, some people are like, especially my dad, he's like, when are you competing? Because, you get hurt and da 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 da. Oh, no, I do. But I, I, I don't know. I don't know when I'll stop competing. I'm 44 now and I'm signed up for PANS and a Masters just opened. I think I'm going to sign up for Masters. And
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
I don't know.
You know what? I don't think you're ever too old to have fun.
Yeah,
So you keep doing you.
don't get me wrong. I get nervous for the tournaments, of course, and of course I want to win. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But and then I have a strength and conditioning coach that expects more out of me than what I give him, and I don't blame him. And one of the things that he told me, because I told him I have a really hard time with motivation, and how I don't know how to motivate myself to do what I need to do to win. And he goes, well, then you're never going to. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you cannot wait for motivation because that'll come and go all the time. And motivation is not real. He goes, you have to be disciplined. So you have to take that motivation word out and replace it with discipline. Once you can be disciplined to do what you need to do to win, then you can. And I'm like, oh my God, that resonated with me so much. he has talked to me time and time again. But those are the words that he told me that I will never forget, because it's true. I mean, you can be motivated one day and the next day you're like, I don't feel like it. But if you're disciplined, you're going to go.
Yeah.
You're going to train. You're going to do what you need to do. So I do have to change and start being more disciplined. So, and I know that. I know my downfalls. Like, everyone's like, do you know what you need to do to win? I know what I need to do to win, and I don't do it. And I know that.
Baby steps, baby steps. Knowing is half the battle, right?
I'm very aware.
As long as you're having fun, that's what I like. I mean, I think, especially now that, like, later in life, right? It's just, we're not looking for sponsor. We're just doing this for kicks, right? We're just looking for good times. We're not as serious as we were maybe when we were younger, or some of the younger athletes, So it's just,
Some athletes are, holy moly.
That level the bar has been risen over and over and over. Like, I have one friend, she's a black belt, and she's been a black belt for a while. She's like, man, I miss the days when you could just eat a burrito and then go, like, compete. Like, now they're all doing CrossFit, they're cross training, they're doing wrestling and judo, and, like, so it's a different world.
I know. I did an adult match. I think it was about 2 years ago. I was in my 40s, 2 or 3 years ago, and Jay was like, "Yeah, you're never doing that again." Divisions. So then I even didn't have anyone in my Master 3 division, so I dropped down to Master 1, and I got to compete against some great people who I'm now friends with, and but I got injured, and Jay's like, "Yeah, you're not even doing Master 1 anymore." If you want to keep doing jiu-jitsu, Master 3 or nothing. Yeah, we'll see, because I don't care who I go against. To me, I've always been that person that's like, I don't care if it's an open weight class or wrong at different age. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. So
just go for it.
yeah.
I'm going to close out with this. I want to give you an opportunity to give one final piece of advice for women that are maybe in their in their mid 40s, middle-aged women. What advice do you have for them who might be watching or listening and are saying, I want to try jiu-jitsu, but I have my concerns because I am kind of a more mature, and, our body starts changing once we start, getting into our middle ages. What advice do you have for them?
I actually have a lot of with class who are middle age, and so I'm with them on a regular basis, and my advice to them is you have to listen to yourself and your body, and when you're not comfortable with something, say no. So and that's one of the things I and am an advocate for. If you're in the gym, and it's not just my class, if you're in the gym and you're in the adult class and there's all these men in there and you're not comfortable going with this bigger guy because maybe he's a little rough, say no. And it's okay for you to say no. And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise, because your body is important. And the only way that you're going to keep going in life and keep doing jiu-jitsu is if you take care of your body. You have to protect yourself. And obviously it's like eating healthy, which I plan to do more of, and a little more strength and conditioning to protect your joints. I have hurt every joint in my body, and so I do have pain on a regular basis, and so doing that little bit of strength and conditioning to protect those joints to help protect them in the future. But my biggest one really is just to, you don't be afraid to tell somebody you don't want to roll with them because you don't want to get hurt. It's okay. And that's the only way that you're going to keep doing jiu-jitsu. So.
Well, it was such a pleasure having you on, Lisa. I'm so glad we had this opportunity to give people at home watching and listening an opportunity to ask you questions. You are a wealth of knowledge. I think that everybody listening and watching can relate to what you said. You dropped some serious knowledge on us, some food for thought. And, I'm so honored to have you on here today, and look forward to having you on again.
Thanks. And anyone can message me anytime if they have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We hope that you can join us for our next series, and you have a wonderful weekend. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.